Hey friends, hey family, hey loved ones, hey y'all. How's it going today? What's happening? What's going on? What's cycling around? What's playing around in your world? Yeah, what's going on? It's been intense. It's it's been a little bit of everything, and just the strangest, most awesome, bizarre, weird, cool, happy, sad, everything things. And yeah, just embracing the extremes of my life. I am willing to embrace the extremes of my life. And slow down. Slow down, breathe, recenter, be with me, be here present to receive the gift that is here for me, that is here within me, that is here surrounding me, that is all around me, that is a part of me, and that I am a part of. This life, this love, this light, all this, all this good stuff that is right, all this joy, and all this bright sunshine, and coming into this harvest time of equal day and night, seeing that the sun is setting earlier in the day and we have a longer night. And yeah, feeling those changes, been feeling the intensity, of this time. I mean, gosh, this has been what a year, what a year, what a year. Just exponential for growth and starting like all these new things or continuing them or actually manifesting them into being from where they exist in the unseen and bringing them into form. And so it's very cool to see that process unfolding and and this life being reborn. And so just a couple things. It's just so funny, these things that are happening with time and my beliefs and my ideas and some of the concepts around time, about linear time, and really kind of using nonlinear time and cyclic time to orient myself in new ways. And also like looking at some of my beliefs, that I've had about time. Like that there's not enough time, or that I need more time, or I don't know, those silly rhymes. And so I tricked myself the other day because I've been feeling like the pressure, and just that's just an invitation for me to come back to my center and be here with me now. And so, sometimes I get trapped in my mind and I'm cycling through all the things that, I have planned or that I would like to get to or that I want to do and or that like I get to do. And sometimes it's really hard for me to just be still and be where I'm at because I'm always like looking for the next thing, or sometimes I'm stuck in the past. And so yesterday I woke up, and just as soon as I woke up, it was like incredible monkey mind chatter. And it was just like, I could feel this like really tight. And it seemed like extra, extra fast spinning in my solar plexus. And it was, oh man, I don't even know how to describe how it felt. It was just like really fast vibrating and just anxiety. And so just taking the time to breathe and just be where I was in my kitchen, just pouring some tea for myself. And the funny thing was I was getting ready to go to a hair appointment, and I thought I had gotten my tea ready the night before, and I thought I was going to be drinking some mint tea, but actually it was thyme tea. And so when I realized that, and I was going to pour me a cup, I was like, oh, I have time, because that's one of the tea blends I've made, and I called it tea time. And so I thought it was just great. Like, here's a little funny trick that I played on myself, that I don't have time, and now I have time. And so it was just silly, like just one of those things where it's like wink, wink, and it's just silly, fun, playful things like that happen all the time. So I just wanted to share, yeah, some of the silly things, like just not to take ourselves so seriously, or and hold our desires and our love lightly, because it's not separate from us. And so if we allow that love to be held lightly, so it is free to move, and it's free to be, and it's free to be given and shared and received, it can all be yeah, as it is, and what it gets to be, and it gets to go where it gets to be, or where it's needed, or where it is being asked to be. So be with me, be here with me. And so just kind of, yeah, been looking at the past, the present, and the future, and all those things. So what I thought was really cool, about an hour ago, I opened up this book that I got for my birthday. It's called The Map by Colette Baron Reed. And flipped it open. And here is Traveler's Notes from page 42. Part of the reason we feel lost is because we think too much about the past or future instead of the present moment. We're very likely to avoid the present when we're in an emotionally distressing situation. If we avoid our emotions, we find ourselves back in the same old emotional place again and again and again. When we consciously interact with the map, we're less likely to find ourselves in distressing emotional landscapes, and when we do enter them, we're aware that we're not prisoners and are able to leave much sooner. So when we consciously interact with the map, we're less likely to find ourselves in distressing emotional landscapes, and when we do enter them, we're aware that we're not prisoners and are able to leave much sooner. Which that was interesting too, because I was having some of that irritation and some little triggers come up today, just because of certain things from the past, wounds around abandonment and betrayal and things like that. And I know it has nothing really to do with what's going on in my current now moment or my current situation. But like, yeah, there's certain memories or packets of frozen energy, also called samskaras, that were coming up to the surface for me to allow them to move through me, so I could just be with them and feel them and let them go. But I don't like to feel those feelings of irritation, and those feelings of fear, and those feelings of grief, and those feelings of anger, and those feelings of poor me, those feelings of self-pity, and oh, poor me, I'm all alone, and nobody loves me. Kind of self-pity. Yeah, pity party stories. And so, yeah, that's just kind of, just observing. So realizing that I don't need to stay a prisoner, and I could just be with me with what is here now, instead of going into a story, or instead of pushing them down or shoving them away. I don't want to feel you right now, or I don't want to feel this way right now. And that like adds to my irritation sometimes, because there's, yeah. Part of myself that judges myself for, that's wrong to feel that way. That's probably the super ego, and that's where I've gotten in my own way. Just like by judging the feelings and then attaching a story to them of why it's wrong to feel that way, instead of just feeling it and letting it fall away. So still work in progress, work in play, work in practice every day. And so this kind of has to do with some themes I was going to share today that I even wrote in my journal, and that's pretty great. So the next thing is time is a fractal or a spiral. Whatever you experience will come around again in some form. And the frozen land is a place where you go and you must put things on ice, rest, and reflect before taking action. So yeah, it is good to let things simmer sometimes, and yeah, or put them on ice. Yeah. Slowing down and becoming mindful actually creates more time for you, which is, yeah, which is exactly what Coyote, the trickster, yeah, was letting me know the other day when I was tripping over my feet. Like, oh, you must be in a rush. Yeah, to catch up to yourself. You can slow down. It's okay. You know. Slowing down and becoming mindful actually creates more time for you. So, yeah, just letting everything go of what my expectations are and how I want things to go, and just being here right now and letting it unfold. When you shift your perception of the past, the map changes and you even recall memories you'd long forgotten because they didn't match up with the story you've always told yourself about your life. And that's pretty awesome too, because there are certain things that I've been able to see and certain memories that I've been able to recall since I have been shedding some of these old stories. And it is like I have been feeling like it's all about the story and the storyteller lately and the magic of storytelling. And that's come up so much in the last month for me. But of course, I always love stories, and yeah, I love telling stories, obviously. And there's a big storyteller that lives within me that tells all sorts of stories. Some stories aren't true, and some stories are mostly true. And some stories, yeah, aren't true at all. Some stories are a mix of both, and some stories are fully, wholly true. Yeah, and some stories are just for fun, and some stories are for love and healing and growth. So, yeah, just creative stories and creative play. And so, the magic of story time and storytelling. And so, what stories are we telling ourselves? And what stories are we using to reinforce our own identity or our own sense of self-worth or our own ego security? What stories are we telling ourselves, and what payoffs do those stories have? Or do we even realize the stories that are running us or running in the back of our minds? And what characters are telling us those stories, or what character is telling the stories? And yeah, what lens is it being perceived through or seen through? And all those things is helpful. And it can be, yeah, helpful too. Even if the story is a lie, it can help us uncover the truth. And so that's the coolest thing about it. And I can't remember who had said something about this, that mythology is amazing because it either tells a lie to illustrate the truth, or it tells the truth to expose lies, or something along those lines. But yeah, it's very cool, like how stories have that kind of magic. And I feel like there are certain stories that can be told that, you know, people can take in because it can slip past their defensive mechanisms. They can open to it in awe and wonder sometimes, and just take it in as a story, not as something that needs to compete or threaten their own beliefs or their own rigidities or their own identity. And so sometimes stories work on us like seeds, and that's pretty amazing how that happens. And yeah, so many good stories. Story therapy. But yeah, some stories make us really, really sick, I think. I think, you know, we think it's all about what we think. And that's been coming up a lot, is the overthinking and the overthinker. And yeah, being in that analysis paralysis. So with the astrology happening, these last couple weeks, couple months, yeah, I can't even believe how sensitive I am. I start feeling like certain things like 2 weeks or a week before like the actual alignment or transit or square or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm already working with it, ready or not, like with the energetics of it. And so it's really, really cool, like just to write down in my journal, oh, this is coming up for me in this area, and it's this theme. And then I see later, oh, that's moving into that house, and this planet is moving into that house, and this planet went into retrograde then. Oh, this makes so much sense why I'm restructuring these things in my life, and why this is coming up or this is popping up, or there's these little fires over here, and then there's these little water spouts over here, and yeah, all this stuff being dug up over here, and this whirlwind of something over here. Okay. And it just helps because it's as above so below. And so don't you know, it's like one of our resources and one of our mirrors that we can use um, to be in flow, and just to kind of maybe have a better understanding of how certain energies are affecting us individually and collectively. And so I know that whatever is really going on with me, whatever I can share, um, I'm a part of the whole, and the whole's a part of me. So I'm hoping that in my sharing, in my vulnerability, in my alchemy practices, that it will be helpful for someone else that is open to receive. And yeah, all those things. And so yeah, I just nothing is separate. It's all connected. It's all interconnected. I was going to say interconnected and interdependent at once, and it just doesn't work. Yeah, so slow down again. It's like my mind wants to move so fast right now, and so that's one of the things that's been driving me like a little nutty, is the monkey mind, and the frantic antics of the hamster wheel judge, and the know-it-all that wants to be for superior and figure it all out. That's like my ego. Yeah, my ego has been on hyperdrive to try to defend itself, to try and self-preserve its own life, and it's been trying to hang on and cling on to all of these things, and just pulling me off my center with using all this bait about and trying to find what's wrong. Seriously, trying to find what's wrong all the time, like when it's not even necessary at all, because it always has this sneaking suspicion that something's not quite right, and waiting for the other shoe to drop or the sky to fall. And so just kind of observing and watching that silliness and those antics of these mental strategies and these mental hoops that I have been working my way through, like this labyrinth and this maze back to the center, into like the fullness of myself. So it's just like a lot of twists and turns, and some some weird corridors. Feel like I am like definitely cleaning up the cobwebs in the attic, and cleaning the skeletons out of the closet, and uncovering all sorts of things, and clearing it all out to put on the compost heap. And yeah, just ready for like some of it to be cleared away, and sometimes feeling a little bit impatient, because it's like, this again, I'm not done with this already. And then just kind of, well, there you are, there's room for you right now. Okay. It's okay, there's room and there's space. So making the room and making the space for it all to be as it is right now, currently. And then by the grace of God go I. So yeah, so I thought that this was a little awesome to look into these traveler's notes about the past, present, and the future. And before that there was different questionings for a envision process. And for a journaling exercise, I was asking prompts about where are you, or when are you? So where are you, and what is your inner landscape, and have you been here before? When are you? Are you in the future thinking about what might be, or are you in the past remembering? Do you feel positive emotions in this landscape or negative ones? Is there a lesson to be learned here? Is there something to be gained by visiting this place? Have you been here a lot? Does it feel as if you keep coming back here for no reason? How can the experience of being in this particular landscape temporarily help you in your life today? When you let go of the habit of running away from your present emotional state, you start to find the courage to face the difficult memories of the past and the harsh realities of the future that you may have to confront, given the parameters of your personal history. In upcoming chapters, you'll learn about the allies who can help you on your journey, as well as the magical tools such as talismans and medicine bags that can embolden you. But first, you must learn the dangers of entering the ghost lands that we all move into when we linger too long in the past or the future. There are secrets to escaping them, as you shall see. So super interesting around all that. When you let go of the habit of running away from your present emotional state. Yep. Because that was such a chronic thing for me. It was automatic. Like, didn't even realize I was doing it in some certain ways. In other ways, when they were really obviously there, I'd still ignore them or shove them down or distract myself or escape in another manner. Yeah. But I've been asking myself, some of those questions and been noticing those in the last couple weeks. I picked up Animal Oracle Spirit deck a couple weeks ago because I was having some kind of interactions with wasps outside, and it's crazy. Like the fear, like the irrational fear that I have or have had. Or have felt about like bees and wasps and hornets and those flying things with stingers. Like I don't, like, just because it was a learned fear and a learned behavior and a learned strategy to scan my environment for potential threats that were coming to get me. And just been looking into that, about how often I feel like there's a boogeyman or like something that can come hurt me from the outside, like because of all the programming and then all of the reinforced stories about how dangerous certain things are, or about all those things. Just kind of reinforcing those fears, but then not wanting to be afraid of them and being mad at myself for being afraid and not allowing myself to feel fear and then let it move through me. And then let it be alchemized or transformed. Or also, like, maybe just differentiate or use discernment about, like, is this an old fear, or is this actually like a true gift of actual fear? Because there is a difference. Sometimes it's just mental stuff that we work ourselves up over, or because of past trauma and all those things. And sometimes it is actual a gift from the body when that authentic fear pops up. That's so that we can move and we can preserve our own life. Yeah, for sure. But the ego goes into fear all the time to preserve its own life and to reinforce and perpetuate itself. And so just looking into those things and seeing through some of those games. And so, I was sitting on my porch and I smoke cigarettes up there. And sometimes, it's kind of silly, like how there's like some wasps, and they'll come circle around in the porch and the patio, and it's like, yeah, just be looking for flowers or insects or whatever, and bees, And so sometimes, like, I just, yeah, since it seems automatic, like it's like a fear, like, or a reaction that there's nothing I can really do but allow that reaction to pass through me. Yeah, or just allow that fear, or just laugh at myself because it's okay. Like, but I really like end up tensing up, like, oh my God, like, preparing for that sting, like, wanting to avoid any and all discomfort or pain, and then kind of creating it for myself by tensing up and like holding that in, and like being resistant against that kind of a thing, like, and it's just silly, but so these wasps, though, they weren't aggressive at all, and that was like the weird thing, was that they would just come and they would just fly right past my head. And then there was these other kind of flying bugs that I noticed that looked a little similar, but they weren't like wasps. They were something different. And it looked like they were building a little nest in like a brick, like in a little hole that was in the brick in the exterior of the house. And so I wasn't sure what was going on there, like, but they weren't aggressive and they weren't bothering me. And so I was just like, okay, all right, I guess there's space, and I am in harmony with nature, and nature's in harmony with me, and I trust that I am safe, and all those things. And so, but I kept seeing, yeah, every single day, like, just wasps would be coming in and flying, like, and just it wouldn't even pay attention to me, but it would go behind me, and I was just wondering, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. But finally, discovered that they were building a nest in the chair that I was sitting in. But yeah, that's like what really like started to freak me out. Like, oh, well, they're not aggressive right now, but that doesn't mean that they won't be later. And so this chair had been like really hammered, and yeah, it's been on the porch for years and years, and it is falling apart. And so I'm like, well, I guess we can toss that chair and get a new chair now. But yeah, I was like, I want to coexist in peace and harmony, but I don't know if I want them that close and personal with me. And so after that little incident, like a week or two ago, yeah, I went into the Spirit Oracle deck and looked up Wasp to see Wasp's message. And the message was, sometimes life stings. And maybe, Spirit and Wasp are conspiring to bring you something else. Like, sometimes it's hard to be disappointed or to feel disappointed in life and to feel that sting of disappointment. But what if something better is on its way, and maybe you'll be glad that you didn't get your way, because of all of the amazing things that now can come in since this space was made. Just something along the lines of that. And also there was like the protection message that was speaking about jealousy and envy. And yeah, envy and jealousy maybe that are directed from others, or that maybe, we've had feelings of the jealousy or envy toward others, because maybe we feel like someone's going to take away something that is ours, or that we can't have what we want. And so we're envious of what someone else has, and we tell ourselves a story that everybody else has that, but I don't have it. And then that's a form of making ourselves important. We're making ourselves important through like that story that we tell ourselves. And usually that's like one of self-pity, that separates us. And that's what the ego constantly does, is it separates itself, because it's learned to do that, because that's how it knows itself. It's separate in relation to everything else. And so I can see how the ego wants to keep reinforcing itself and to keep separating itself, to perpetuate itself and to preserve itself. And so it's just been like a wild ride, a wild monkey ride, monkey mind ride, with like all of these weird things coming in that it just like doesn't even make sense sometimes. Like, but it's just trying to grasp and hold and cling on to the old stories and the old identity and the old roles because it doesn't know who it is, without any of that stuff to attach itself to, with all the attachments. And so kind of just letting go of old stories, old beliefs, old identities, old roles, old self-images, and old descriptions of myself and of others. And just clearing some of that away. So yeah, I can see how there could be resistance. And part of myself is digging my heels into the floor. No, wait. Wait. And that's probably why I'm like, we need more time. This has to do, maybe it has a little bit of silliness to do with that. Like, oh, slow down. And maybe if I just slow down here, that would make all the difference in the world. So practicing that and remembering to breathe and just to be here with me and just to let it be. And I have noticed some interesting things as well. Like, have noticed people starting to shed certain masks and certain layers and certain costumes and certain roles they've been attached to. And it's kind of awesome to see. And just like this in the stepping out of judgment, and it is seeing that we all are going through this massive changes and our own journey of awakenings, our own series of awakenings that we get to go through. And so no matter where we are on our journey and no matter where we've been, like this is like a totally brand new experience for all of us. And we're all winging it. And so it's just like a little bit easier to kind of allow others to be where they're at and allow myself to be where I am too, without needing to make anything wrong. And because that's like my default setting, is looking for what's wrong because I need to fix it, make it better, or defend against it to protect myself, and reaffirm myself of my own rightness. And so it's just funny, like looking at all these things. And sometimes I super love the play of it, and sometimes I get really tired of it. And so I just need to step away and let myself play in other ways because I'm always playing, So sometimes I can get too serious about my play, and then the trickster comes to play. And so I had something else to share. So there's a couple themes. So stories and storytelling, magic and play, presence and practice, acceptance and receptivity, trust, relaxing into love, rest, peace, breathe. And so stories and storytelling, story time. Story time. Story time. And just letting it be, letting the story be told through me, or asking what message wants to come through me without my having to, or my little me having to alter or manipulate the message. Just letting it come through, even if it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't make sense to me, or it doesn't make sense to the other, or it's incoherent babbling. Just letting the message come through. Yep. Through that not knowing, which is really cool in a lot of ways too, because I've really been enjoying some certain stories this year. And also, like, for decompression and just like relaxation and entertainment, there's certain shows that I like to watch, and there's certain things that I get from them. And I love, I love all these resources that I can put to use. Everything can be useful. or it can be composted and useful again. It's all, there's a part for every place in the whole, and there's a place for every part in the whole. So there's this show on HBO called His Dark Materials, and it's based on a book series, and I'll have to check out that book series. But I've really been super enjoying this story, and there was some really profound things for me to find in it. And one of the things was that there's this character named Lyra, and she's a young girl who she was brought up to as an orphan in a university, and she was brought there for some kind of a sanctuary so that she could be protected, and like some kind of political asylum or something, where she would be out of reach from whoever it was that would like wish any harm to come to her, or hijack her for their own means or whatnot. But anyways, this central character in the film, in the story, Lyra, she is fulfilling a prophecy, but she's doing it without knowing she's doing it. And that's how she does it. But she doesn't even know she's doing it. And so I felt like, oh, there's a little awesome nugget for me. Like these mistakes that she thinks she's making, or that she just needs to play out, and they just need to play through. These mistakes need to play out, and they need to play through her own life and through her own initiations and within her own journey. And so it's this like, instead of like seeing that, and punishing herself, like we get to, like we choose to punish ourselves, or we automatically learned to punish ourselves for mistakes that we've made, or we punish ourselves for perceived mistakes again and again and again and again and again, and keep ourselves stuck in that past because we can't let that mistake go, or that painful memory go, or whatever it is that's not allowed to flow. It's not allowed to be, and we can't let go. And so it's just fun to see those kinds of things come up for me. Seeing that, we've used those ego strategies for a long time, and they haven't really worked that well for us to heal and to thaw out, those frozen packets of energy. So I just thought that was an awesome nugget. So just embrace not knowing, and to embrace the extremes of life, and to embrace like the learning process, and to embrace like the mistakes we've made, and use them as fertilizer, and use them as fuel, and for our growth, put them to use, because everything is useful. Everything can be used. And so that's how we unify the whole, instead of rejecting one part of it, instead of rejecting ourselves, or rejecting that part of our journey, or rejecting that mistake that we made. That mistake was a really great thing, because look at what it taught me, and look at what it gave me, and look at what I know now that I didn't know, those kinds of things. And so finding our way and fulfillment, and through this not knowing, through this trust, and going through the journey, and of this known and unknown. And so those are some of the things coming up. So looking into those stories, and enjoying the stories, and seeing how they're relatable and applicable to my own life, and the magic of stories. And so what stories can we rewrite, and what stories can be transformed, or what stories can be given back? What stories can we tell ourselves? What stories can we write? And what does that help us create within our own lives? And now that I think about it, it is 9/11 today, and I'm thinking about Lee J. McCoskey's Tarot Revisioned, and what emerged for him on 9/11 with his artwork and his beautiful story, the story of us and the story of Gaia Sophia that unfolded on his kitchen linoleum floor. And yeah, I'll put that link in the description box because it is really beautiful, and there is really, really divine wisdom that's held within this art, and that's being expressed through this man, teacher, and visionary. So super appreciate him and all of his work and all of the things that he has brought forward and brought forth through his being to share with humanity and with life, with all of us. And so acceptance and reception and presence, like instead of beating myself up and expecting perfection or having these expectations, I can let those go. So acceptance of where I am and being open to being where I am and to where I will be. And yeah, just allowing myself to be as I am. So trust. So that's a big theme coming up. That's a huge, huge, huge thing. That's like the number one important thing to have in a healthy relationship is trust. And if we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust life and we don't trust love, you know, who can we trust? And like, yeah, if we can't trust anyone, then it's impossible to relax and to be receptive and present in a state of love. And so first, it's like really important to develop that trust and to start to trust ourselves. And if we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust our partners or our friends or people that are in important relationships with us, yeah, there's some questions we could ask ourselves about why that is. And yeah, that's something huge that I got to ask myself in 2016 is, ooh, why don't I trust myself? You know, I want to trust myself, but I don't. And yeah, so I kind of like got to do some great investigating and some excavating there, and I discovered a whole lot. So trust, relaxing into love. So I've always, yeah, kind of wondered, okay, how does Durga do it? Like, really? And she just like, she knows that she is love and she's a part of all this love. And she has that knowing in all of her love and this love that she is and this love that is and this love that we all are and this love that she comes from, this source, yeah, the source of love that she comes from. And so it is like, yeah, just trusting in that love and relaxing into that love, really. And so seeing more deeply into that lately. And what rest really is that deep relaxation into love, which doesn't mean that we're sleeping or that we're totally passive, but it actually means we're receptive to be moved through the spirit of love. So that's pretty awesome to see that too. So gratitude and faith and humility. I embrace the extremes of my life. And so all of this magic at play, there's all of this magic, and it has been such a magical month. And I have been noticing that, like, ooh, like, definitely there is no separation between the magic and mundane. And even though, like, wow, when we're deep in that magic, and it is so magical, and it's blissful, and we're feeling that rapturous joy, and all those things, like the mundane can seem a little ho-hum, like when nothing's really going on, or we want to avoid those feelings of, you know, low-grade irritation, frustration, or anxiety. Like, sometimes it's been hard for me not to have a preference between those two things that are part of the same thing. And yeah, sometimes I've had like a lot of resistance to the doldrums and to the ho-hums and those kinds of things. But I have realized lately, if I do allow it, I can see where I'm cock blocking myself and where my creative energy really wants to move. because sometimes I don't want to just sit around and listen to something outside of myself. I actually want to create something, or I want to express something for myself. And I can see, like, when I have a short attention span, or when I'm really fidgety, or I just can't sit still in certain ways, that's when my muse and my inner child really wants to play and create. And sometimes I'm not allowing myself that because I'm telling myself that I don't have time, or they don't have energy for it, or there's some other kind of lie being told. And so it's just like good to pay attention and see those things. So yeah, lots of magic and possibility. So I've seen a lot of miracles unfold in just the most fun ways, and great and small ways. And one thing was that I got to harvest some tinctures on the full moon, when during this full moon window in Pisces, and I harvested them on the 9th. And the cool thing was, it's like, yeah, because of all this mental chatter and this analysis paralysis, and sometimes like the mind just doesn't want to shut the hell up. And it's just like keeps sucking me back in. There's like some kind of thing, and I just have to like kind of allow it, and kind of like let the thoughts kind of just fall like an old robe would, or like an old garment, like kind of just go into my imagination, instead of like going in there and spiraling in there to argue with whatever the story is, or to see or look at the story, or to fix the story, or to just do something with the story, instead of just observing it and just allowing it to either just be there, or just fall right away, and then coming back to the present. And so one of the fun things, though, that I got to do for myself and got to choose was harvesting tinctures. And I had made those, or started them, on May 6th of 2022. And I had no idea. I was just like, oh, this one probably would be good. Ooh, I haven't made this one for a while. Ooh, I'm going to make a blend with some things to help with clarity and focus and all those things. And I feel like, yeah, it was probably, yeah. And it's just kind of funny how I go back and forth, and like, I was feeling more clear back in May, when I really don't know if that was the case. I probably, I probably just romanticize like certain times, and feel like, oh, I'm not okay where I am because I was doing better in this area a couple months ago, or I was doing, like this a couple years ago, and I felt better then, so I need to go back to that. And it's like, what if that's a lie, and I don't need to go back to that, and I just get to be where I am right now, and move forward from this space that I am in right now? Like, yeah, that's silly. So just seeing how I trip myself up in my own mind with my own mental hoops and my own story loops, and yeah, all these binds and story time, old story time. Like being stuck in this, yeah, convoluted structure of time. So yes, it's kind of strange. But one of the blends, yeah, the blend that I made, the focus and clarity blend, was actually rosemary, California poppy, holy basil, lemon balm, oat straw. What else? I wrote it down. I have it written down. Clarity and focus. Oat straw, rosemary, skullcap, holy basil, sage, California poppy. Yeah, really amazing stuff. And so I also had made some coriander for myself, and I am super glad that I did that, because I really need that help for digestion right now, and for helping, yeah, with a little bit of detox and stuff. And so, yeah, that's awesome. And so after I had harvested those tinctures and everything, I was so glad that I had some of those plant medicines to work with, and they're all ready for this time right now when I really need them. And then I got to see last night a podcast all about astrology, the moon cycles, and plant medicines, plant allies. And I thought it was so cool because it was Aktu Bava, and he's an astrologer that I found this year a couple months ago. And I like his style and I like what he offers. I really do appreciate what he's offering. And I had only seen like maybe a handful of his videos in the last couple months. But every time like they pop up and I really get a lot from them. And so I was led to watch this one that it says advice for this transition or this retrograde that Mars is going through in Gemini. And that's really fun for me because it is affecting me in different ways because I do have Mars in Gemini. And yeah, it's like I have felt the fire to communicate, especially in the last month. I felt like there's been a roaring fire lit under my behind. And so maybe it is really to help me let go of that past or burn some of that old overgrowth or old growth away that I no longer need to carry. And I can clear it away to clear space, clear some new space for a new story and for new life to grow. And so, yeah, him and his wife are teaching a class, a course next year, and it's all about, plant medicines, plant allies, and astrology and the moon cycles. And so I thought, oh, that's right up my alley. That sounds amazing. And in this video, they shared 4 different plant allies to help with this Mars in retrograde in Gemini this time. And so some of those herbs were rosemary, mint, oat straw, and blue vervain. And so I thought that was amazing because I've been, I love drinking mint tea, and I do have a peppermint and a spearmint tincture brewing right now that will be ready next month. And so that's awesome. Just like to see those synchronicities that at the right time, like my soul and my creative muse knew what she was doing. And here's just me playing, okay, let's do that one, but not even knowing why. And so it is just such a fun thing. Yeah. And so, one of the things, I have never tried blue vervain, and I would like to try that one. And that's one that's come back again. Like, I remember reading about it a couple years ago and thinking, oh, what a magnificent plant. I'm going to have to play with that one and get familiar. And it's just a good reminder, hey, try some new things and, start to develop new relationships and play and just have fun, just have fun, really, because it really was like all this fun and all this love. So it is like about all this joy and this gratitude about what has been planted, what's been nurtured, what's been watered, what has been cared for, and all those things, and the fruits of the harvest and all of that. And so there is a lot to be grateful for. And seeing that there's still so much growing and in the works right now behind the scenes of what hasn't been seen yet. And so it's so magical and just really open to surprises. Inclusivity and accountability, transforming victim consciousness and the old poor me mentality. Stories, changing our reality through love and creativity, originality, uniqueness, wholeness, and the freedom to be. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Welcome home to ourselves, being whole. Whole for ourselves. A whole home for ourselves. Thank you, life, for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. A beautiful day filled with love and remembering that there is nothing wrong with me. I am unlearning and I am growing and I am shedding old skin, going into the chrysalis and becoming who I really am. Intense weird stuff and weird trippy ego strategies coming up. to grasp onto a thread, or looking to fix, to figure it out, to find what is wrong, separating itself, to defend, affirm, prove, secure, preserve, reinforce, restore, or perpetuate itself. Paranoia, fears, not feeling safe, suspicions, contractions, tension, and tightness, the ego, the cut off, separate self, clinging on for dear life, dear God. So, it's lots of silly things coming up. Squaring the circle, encircling the spiral, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, unraveling, revealing, awakening, unfolding, letting go, letting go, letting go. Centering, centering, resting, surrendering, reconfiguring, letting go, letting go, letting go. How to play with life, discovering the magic through your creative ways. A discovery of your own magic, the gift of being alive, the art of being you. Love yourself and know yourself, all your love for all of you. Be yourself for you. Full moon energy in Pisces. Way. Happy harvest blessings. Blessing, praising, thanking all the gifts and the gift of presence to receive all this love, to dwell in, to be in, to commune with, to express joy in and love in, to relax in, to come home to welcome home to welcome yourself home to be at home within you, within your home is you. That's all your love. That is you. The monkey mind at play. Oy vey, calm down, little fella. Whoa, Nelly, it's okay. Slow down and breathe. Let it be, let it be. The muse and new insights and discoveries. Inspiration, new economies, shedding old stories and outgrown beliefs of the separate self and the helpless self, pain, trauma, and suffering. And the ego does want to preserve its poor little self, the separate little self that was created when there was nobody else to be with. And so it split itself, separate self, cut off self, little self. The love you withhold is the pain that you carry. The pain that you carry is the love you withhold from yourself. Parts of yourself that want to come home, home to a heart and a new whole. Love yourself, forgive yourself, bless yourself. A blessing, a gift, a lover, a beloved, a friend. That is all your love for yourself. Your whole self is all your love for yourself. Be friends with yourself. Be friends with life. Choose to see through whole new eyes that we are not separate from all that's alive. We are not separate from life. We are life. Return to the basics and simplicity. Focus on the little things, the simple things, the breath in the body. Come in to breathe. Center and be here now. Ground in and be. Acceptance, reception, allowance, peace, clarity, and harmony. To learn to see ourselves in relation with everything else, or to everything else. The self in relation to the whole, living soul. Changing our minds one day at a time. Live yourself, be yourself, know yourself. All is whole. Own your magic, own yourself, own your power, own yourself, own your love, own yourself, own your value, own yourself. Own your gift, own your worth, own your life, own your horse. Own your horror self. Yeah, own that horror. Yeah, that horror, the horror archetype. I'm very, very, friendly with her. I used to whore myself out to everyone. That's the people pleaser. Yeah. So I would give my power away, and then I would expect, little breadcrumbs and little nuggets to come back to me. It's so funny. But own your whole true self. Yeah. And own that whore self. Know your value, know your worth. I have this cross stitch little thing, cute little thing that my husband did for me. He likes to get crafty too, and he's a tough guy, but it's so fun to watch him cross stitch. And then also do little quilting. You know, he made our little granddaughter her baby quilt. And this is so cute. Like how he's made like friends with some of those inner feminine traits of creativity, reception, and nurturing. And he is such a natural artist, talented one as well. So he's a man of many skills. And so I super appreciate him and how he's helped me, how we both help each other with certain things that were imbalanced. and how, yeah, we still dance together, and we're all walking each other home. And so he cross-stitched me because I asked him to, this little thing, and I'll bring it next time and show. But it's a horror, sweet horror. And that just like made helped me like make friends with that part of myself that was constantly undermining myself and uh, selling, or like really not honoring, like devaluing what I had to give and devaluing myself. And yeah, I was selling it. I was selling, really, it was like a bargain without knowing. I was selling like gold nuggets for shit, for shit nuggets. That's pretty much what I was doing. But I feel like, yeah, in hindsight and seeing certain things, we can see how we have deceived ourselves and how we were duped into this bargain without knowing. We didn't really know what we were agreeing to because we thought it was for something else. But yeah, is just part of our journey that we got to experience so that we could come back home to ourselves. And it's, yeah, part of that journey that helped us awaken to come back home to ourselves. And so even if it was a rude wake up call, like, yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Even though we didn't, really like that wake up call, and it made us feel really, really stupid and small and just clueless and ignorant and oblivious. And it's just like, yeah, sometimes like feeling, oh my gosh, did we really do that? And like, how could we have done that? And it is sometimes like cringeworthy, or it feels cringeworthy. But it's just like, you know what? Forgive yourself, have compassion for yourself, and allow yourself that experience and that part of the journey that we were initiated into. We don't have to keep punishing ourselves, and we don't have to get stuck there. We don't have to keep ourselves stuck as a prisoner there. So I felt like, yeah, that was amazing advice. An awesome little synchronicity just to flip open to that for the traveler's notes. When you shift your perception of the past, the map changes, and you even recall memories you'd long forgotten because they didn't match up with the story you've always told about your life. And also, it was about, there was another message from Wasp that is kind of expressing the same thing about not having to stay stuck in that painful story. Why do you keep telling the story about how much it hurt to be stung? And so I kept looking at those, like, why do I keep returning to this place of pain and suffering? And like, why do I still feel angry about this thing and this thing and this thing? Why do I keep returning here to this story or to this memory? To this frozen energy. Like, why do I have the compulsive need to do that? Why am I addicted to that? Or why must I keep reinforcing it for myself? What's the payoff here, for that, for this little me? And so just really allowing myself to feel the feelings, and also wanting to honor that feeling of anger, because my anger, my feelings of anger, the anger that I have felt has actually been genuinely legitimate, and not suppressing those feelings anymore. Those are really, really hard, difficult emotions for me to express, to allow for myself to feel. And so in the last 2 years, and yeah, really intensely working with that anger, and also just like remembering Sekhmet, where she wants us to honor our anger and give a voice to it. And yeah, sometimes we feel like we can't talk about our anger, or we feel like we shouldn't be feeling that way because it's not nice and it's not kind and all those things. But actually, it is to help us change something, or to acknowledge something that's not working for us, or that's very dishonoring and it's very imbalanced, and it is causing chaos and suffering in our lives. And it's just a signal sometimes that certain shadow aspects will come up and reflect to us and things too, like this, and trigger in us as well, like to help us pay attention to what we haven't been paying attention to because we've been wrapped up somewhere else, and so it is good to give our anger a voice and actually do something constructive with it and acknowledge like why certain things, what it is really about, and what kind of boundary we need to set for ourselves, and what kind of power that we can claim back for ourselves. And so give our anger a voice, honor our anger, give it a voice, and take constructive, conscious actions and use it for fuel to change. And so just looking at some of the ways that I used to bypass and use certain coping mechanisms to bypass certain unpleasant feelings or things that I felt wrong for feeling, or stories that were coming up that I judged myself for playing into. And so seeing more into those things. But there is also a strategy that I had about covering it up with toxic positivity. And it's just like, it reminds me of that Brave New World. I don't know if anyone of you guys have seen that show, but it was just one of the best shows I've seen this year, and I super enjoyed it. The I just need to get like a Pez dispenser and make my own little Soma dispenser, just because it was so hilarious. Like when the awkward cricket moments came on, you heard this click, 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 the simultaneous click of all the Soma dispensers. This is great. This is so funny. And so, yeah, I have this soul collage storyboard that I made today, and there is like a picture that is perfect on it. It's a little yellow smiley face, but it's in a little pill packet. And so it's like one of those, things that has a smiley face. It's a happy pill. And so it's just like, how often do we medicate ourselves with those happy pills, but we're covering up the pain? We're covering over the pain with a Band-Aid, and we're not actually addressing the pain. We're just like masking the symptoms, or pushing it away and covering it up and telling ourselves another story, when there's a part of ourselves that really needs us to hear instead of bypassing it. And so I saw something last night by Teal Swan about the danger of negating negatives, and I'm going to put that description or that link in the description box. And so, just all these things that have been coming up and popping up for me to play with. And I opened up the map that goes along. This is the Enchanted Map by Colette Baron Reed. And I flipped it open, and it landed on 33, which is peaks of joy. Your life is filled with happiness, so share it with others. So, I love that. I love sharing all the love and all the joy and all the happiness and all the goodness with others. And so it was a good message. And I do feel really blessed. And I do feel like it is a mixed bag right now. Like, and I'm okay with that. And I feel like that's one of the great messages that came to me last month was I am willing to embrace the extremes of my life and be with what is now. Be in that acceptance of what is now, so that whatever comes, I can respond to instead of react to, and all those things. But just flipping open this now, 29 coming to life, something beautiful is being born in your life. How awesome is that? So, when you look at your life, can you see how you've grown and evolved over time? Perhaps you've shed skins and identities and created new ones, or at the very least matured in your ideas about yourself and the world you inhabit. You know things take time, and Spirit's timetable is rarely in sync with your own. This card indicates that a long-held dream is becoming to show that a long-held dream is beginning to show signs of life. You must try not to coax it along or shape it according to your desires. Spirit knows the best form for the manifestation of this dream, and your life can become even better than you could possibly imagine. Now is the time for a reverence. Now is the time for reverence and awe. Allow the contours of your path to be carved by the hands of the divine. All you have to do is show up. The coming to life card is a gentle reminder to get out of your own way, to let go and let spirit lead. New life is unstable in the beginning and needs gentle care. Farmers don't go into their fields and pull up the shoots of plants to see how they're doing. They know that everything has its own cycle of growth. Let nature take its course. Find other things to focus on right now. Simplicity and small steps are the order of the day. When the time is right, you will see the miracle. That was so awesome. I had never drawn that one before, so that was so fun to get just now, coming to life. Something beautiful is being born in your life, and that is so true, being born in and through. And then peaks of joy. Your life is filled with happiness, so share it with others. Joy is yours today. No matter what your inquiry, you will be happy with the results. You're coming closer to a sense of achievement, and you've worked hard for it. You're surrounded by true companions and events that are synchronistically arranged to bring you to the next level of your life. The world is singing a beautiful harmony. Life is exhilarating and hopeful. Let gratitude fill your heart, and remember to share your happiness. Joy is contagious. And that was awesome, because a couple days ago, that's what I was feeling like. It is really all about the joy. It's about the joy and the love and the magic and the beauty. Yeah, and all of this. And so it's just like my inner trickster and my inner child, my inner magician, and my wild woman. Yeah, just want to all get together, and it was just like a big party, and it's just like, yeah, enjoy, motherfuckers. And so it's just like, you know what, stop taking yourself so seriously and let that spiritual ego go, and just know that there is no separation. There is no separation. The sacred and profane are a part of the very same thing. And so it's just like, sometimes we need to unclench those very, very, very tight butt cheeks and let ourselves be where we are, and let like all this shit go. So. Reversed. Do you rely too heavily on your material achievements when you assess how happy you are? Perhaps you say, I'll be happy when I meet the right lover, or make the right amount of money, or reach my ideal weight, and so on. Why wait to arrive at the perfect destination before allowing yourself to experience sheer delight? This is a day for joy. Take a walk, listen to the songbirds, scratch a kitty's head, play with a dog, look at a baby, and be in awe of life, which leads to a true sense of bliss. Be alive, be grateful, and know that happiness is an inside job. Happiness does come from within. And from that beauty that lives within, from that beauty that loves within this love that we are. So just wanted to share those things. And I have one more little nugget to bring. And I do have very, very grateful to receive all those messages. And it's awesome to kind of allow them to penetrate me a little more deeply, because it is like, hold your desires lightly, and that kind of goes along with just show up for it. Don't try and manipulate the form of what this is going to take. Just show up for it and allow like love to be expressed, and be in engagement, and be receptive, like with this reception and this alchemical union, this sacred union, this marriage within, this partnership with spirit and co-creation. So there was something that related. Oh, here it is. The separate doer, because it's been about taking actions. And so this is from the Christ Blueprint, and it's 13 keys to Christ consciousness, and it's working with different archetypes to kind of illustrate like certain energies and qualities and stories and aspects that we can work with to integrate our own power and honor this and come back into unity within ourselves. And so, yeah, it's been a really interesting book. But taken out of context, it could trigger certain people because of certain beliefs or preconceptions or preconceived notions of what they believe about certain names and certain characters and aspects and things. So just, yeah, if it's not for you, it's not for you. No worries. Separate doer. Lucifer's brilliancy, found in the penetrating laser searchlight of consciousness that the third eye is, can make us feel that we have arrived, that we are enlightened. This light can blind you to where you still need to work on your emotional self, for underneath this presence can lie a whole layer of wounding in the emotions that then perpetuates the Luciferian shadow. This can be very hard to break out of. This form of mental enlightenment means we get stuck rather than staying humble and going the whole way to embodied enlightenment. In this shadow, you think you can do everything yourself and that this is the best way to move in life as you cannot rely on anyone else. This illusion arises from the sense of separation from God, the sense that you can, or the sense that you are a separate doer, that you are a law unto yourself, that nothing can affect you and your world, that you are invincible and independent from the whole. There is no separate doer or maker of existence. We are all one, and God has created it all. As long as you think yourself to be a separate doer, whatever you do is not going to make a difference. To feel we can substitute for God, that we can take God's place, that God is not the only doer, that we are our own small God ruling our domain separate from everything else and better than everything else is the ultimate vanity. This separation leads to striving, effort, pushing, and action, feeling we need to achieve and be successful, to fill the hole, to do rather than to be. The opposite is the truth. All functioning, all perception happen in one interconnected flow. What you do and what everyone else does is one movement, one wave, and one ocean moving together. If one tries to move independently, then the unity can be broken within us, a unity that in truth can never be broken, as even this action is mirroring the movements of the whole that you may be unaware of, but are nevertheless still participating in. Whether you are conscious of it or not, whether you see it or not, we are all one. The sooner you see and experience it, the quicker the suffering will dissolve. The vanity or pride is a hardness in the body, a rigidity to change. It is the armor of the ego. Pride causes separation as it blocks off the flow of life. Pride says no to life. Pride is control, thinking that one can change the course of the present moment. Pride says it knows all of God. When you admit you do not know, that you have no control, that you are nothing, then everything becomes available and you can enter into the dynamic, ever-moving creative flow of life. So when you admit that you do not know, that you have no control, that you are nothing, then everything becomes available and you can enter into the dynamic, ever-moving creative flow of life. Acceptance is the ultimate initiation. You stop lying to yourself and start entering into authenticity and humility. Pride is the opposite of surrender. When there is no pride, life flows harmoniously. Pride is feeling you are special. Pride compares and contrasts itself with other egos. It wants to stand out and shine. Pride sucks in the energy of other egos to bolster its own lack of self-worth. In the attention derived from looking good that it gets from others, it validates itself. It makes it feel like something in order to hide away from the fact that it is insignificant. So it makes it feel like something in order to hide away from the fact that it is insignificant and that its life is empty and meaningless. The insignificance is the truth and opens the doorway to humility and eternity. This insignificance is what we fear the most, for the ego is insignificant. Humility opens the door to surrender. Of yourself, you can do nothing. You cannot even pick up a pen without God flowing through your body-mind. Pride is when we are too emotionally stuck to admit we are wrong, when it is more important to be right, to be justified, than to learn and enter happiness. Pride is when we feel we are better than others, putting others down to make ourselves feel better. Pride expects us to be served rather than to serve. Pride is the greatest cover for your lack of vulnerability. Pride conceals your love and softness. Pride conceals and in truth reveals your weaknesses, where you need to open. Pride sustains the ego and closed heart. Pride creates a polarity of better or worse. Pride destroys innocence. Pride is not getting what you want. Pride is not getting what you want and hurting another because of this. Pride is revenge. Pride is in your feeling of self-worth and your wounds around this. Pride is feeling powerless and covering up this lack of empowerment. False pride is not feeling worthy to be who you are in all circumstances. False pride is when we pretend not to know when we do, pretending to be humble when we feel superior. False pride is being superior to hide our sense of inferiority or to match somebody else so we do not feel less worthy and we already feel ourselves to be. So false pride is being superior to hide our sense of inferiority or to match somebody else so we do not feel less worthy than we already feel ourselves to be. The shadow constantly points out the negative and the lack within yourself, in others, and the world. It is the voice that puts you down instead of accepting what you are. This voice denies the goodness of your actions, the truth of your being. Extreme inclusion. And this is like, wow, and inclusivity and accountability. Lucifer brings up the extremes of experience, light and dark. Lucifer brings up all polarities, repeatedly testing your weak points until they are all harmonized and transformed. Those who get stuck in the thrill of the edges, the righteousness of the light, the brilliancy of the mind, or the power of the dark side, can tend to become unstable. For those trying to embody Lucifer without being clear and having gone through the necessary steps to residing in clarity, peace, integrity, and centeredness, become deeply unbalanced. Lucifer highlights the splits within ourselves, the unhealed perceptions, wounds, and lack of awareness that keep us bound. Many of these splits are deeply buried under the many layers of denial, justification, and safety zones that we erect in order to protect our ego positions. Lucifer viscerally and directly enables us to transform our deep splits so that we can enter a greater sense of wholeness and appreciation of the nature of polarity and its usefulness as a creative tool for our manifestations on earth. It is through Lucifer that we are carved open as channels, as conduits through which new creations can flow. These manifestations are ones that are integrated in dark and light, that use polarity in a flowing dance, creations that serve to make love visible in the world and to make a difference. The ray of polarity, the energy of Lucifer, separates your ego from your soul, the wheat from the chaff, so that you may see your gaps, your judgments, and your conflicts. This light literally cuts through the ego, separating illusion from your innate self, for the brain is full of folds, layers, and depths. Some of these layers are merged and fused together, leaving us confused about how to see the effects and patterns of our conditioning with clarity. The ray of polarity separates the grips and holds, and it can be felt as if the brain is being divided, opened, and forced apart, creating a pathway. One may experience fears, blockages, and projections in this highlighting, and this is where we learn to discern what is false and what is true. Oneness is only achieved through seeing the power that lies in the darkness and not being afraid to use this as an engine for love. Oneness is only achieved through seeing the light in the darkness and transforming our separation and judgment of what we consider to be impure or unholy within ourselves and our perception of what God is. Until we see this, we are still in duality. Until we embrace and make conscious the dark and light, we are still living the split of the full knowledge of who and what we are. Polarity and transformation, mind and heart, are the means that reveal the union we have all been seeking. We all live by the law of polarity, which is always dancing and transforming, for polarity is the law of manifestation. You are the mirror for your own self. You watch yourself every day. Now see who you are and dissolve the mirror. I'll let that speak for itself, and encouraging to love yourself. Be love for yourself and be well. I'll talk to you later. See you for now.